how you communicate with your people across the organization is crucial to developing a culture and sustaining it.
Especially with the culture side, communication comes into it quite a lot.
Absolutely.
It's how do these companies improve their internal communication, and like what's the end result if they do it correctly?
Well, I always found internal communication was needed to be very closely aligned with the culture of the organization. The two go hand in hand, because how you communicate with your people across the organization is crucial to developing a culture and sustaining it. And there are obviously many other benefits of communicating effectively, particularly for leaders. I mean, the more effective the leaders are with their communication, generally the better performance of an organization, not surprisingly. And there are stats around that. I think, you've only got to look at the problems that arise when you don't have decent communication happening. If people don't know what's going on, they become anxious and concerned. And in fact, I was reading a little note or something the other day which just said, even the way you communicate on things like putting a quick catch up in the diary with people in your team, which might sound completely innocent, but if you as a leader haven't thought about what your team members thinking about, they might suddenly start catastrophizing and think, oh my gosh, George wants to speak to me because I've performed badly, or so even little things like that can have a massive impact on how you're communicating across the business. I think there's some principles for communicating internally that people should think about. I think you need to be open and honest. As leaders in an organization, you can't tell everyone everything, but you do need to be open and sometimes vulnerable. And if you've got problems within the organization, share them, because quite often people have solutions. And I think that second point about having a two-way communication is really important. You can't just send out messages from the top down. You've got to find a way where you're listening to the grassroots of the organization, which could be people out in the field. It could be your insurance agents or brokers that are out dispersed that you don't see much. And how do you get information to them that's relevant, insightful, open, honest, maybe fun, maybe inspiring as well? And how do you give them a channel to communicate back to you as well? Because the most successful organizations harness the power of their people, and the power of their people includes their opinions, thoughts, ideas. And that's often where the gems are in terms of building success for your organization going forward and transforming. And of course, when you do that, and you can't, when you listen as well to the opinions, you have to then take action as well. So you have to say, it's fantastic, we got all these views in from you. This is what we're doing. Okay. And it might not always take on board their views. Quite often it won't. But if you're open and honest and authentic about that, I think that works. And finally, George, I was going to say, look, there are some really powerful tools that people can use to help themselves with their communications internally. Depends on the size of the organization. I've found with larger organizations, there's tools like Workplace, which is a business tool from Facebook, which is really powerful. I know I've used that a lot, and it's brilliant for engaging large global teams. It's great for creating different communities that can share content. It is, as I said, sort of like business social media, and it's really powerful. There's some like Office Vibe that's an interesting tool for smaller organizations trying to gauge the level of engagement in the organization with their people. And you can communicate through the platform as well in terms of capturing ideas or polling the team, that kind of stuff. And then you just got some more simple, there's lots of more fun engagement tools, for different quizzes and whatnot, or tools like, I don't know, even things like Slido, where you can do quick polls, interactives, polling of views and opinions however you're communicating internally, because there's a plethora of things: newsletters, town halls with the whole organization, weekly calls, monthly calls, annual year-end
Yeah.
performance reviews, kick off for the new year, new targets, celebrating successes, celebrating what people have done and where people have struggled is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Recognition, patting people on the back, that there's so much you can do, and it does take a bit of effort, but it's really worth doing, and it makes a huge impact on the way your team think and perform.
Yeah, and I think, like you mentioned there, that there are plenty of tools that are readily available, for insurers to really take a hold of it and really use. I mean, from my own experience, we utilize Teams, and for a lot of
Yeah.
insurers, they don't realise that that's already included, in their package. They've already got these communication tools that they're paying for. They're just not finding and using. So,
Yeah.
and like say Office 5, we use that ourselves a lot, for reviewing stuff. It's great though that
Good.
there's that channel there that can really help out.